I want to get right to the phone line this morning and talk to Indiana Area School Superintendent Michael Vuckovich because he's got a busy schedule and so do we this morning. So we want to converse with him this morning. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Mr. Vuckovich, good morning.
Good morning, my friend. How are you doing?
Wonderful, and it's good to have you with us here today. A couple of things came up over the weekend. It seems like there's something every day from our schools, and yours, unfortunately, has been in the middle of some of them. The Safe to Say Something system surely does seem to be working out well, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. I'm glad we have an anonymous tip line in place for these type of incidents. I applaud the individual who submitted the tip, and I really want to thank the police, the local police, and our junior high administration for responding quickly, looking into it, and making sure that our students were safe for today. And everyone did a good job, and that's why these tools exist, and I'm glad to have them.
Absolutely. For those who don't know what Safe to Say Something is all about, what's the best resource for them to learn about the system and how it works?
I think the easiest thing to do is to go to our website. And if you look on our website, we have a link for Safe to Say Something, and it gives a nice little overview. And I believe there's even a video that gives a nice little introduction. If that doesn't work, always call your building principals at the junior high and senior high and just have a conversation. It's really a nice tool that's made available for free to all school districts in the Commonwealth that we all use, and we introduce it to our kids at the beginning of every school year and send some literature home. But it's a nice way to really just help keep everyone safe. And if you see something, say something, and work together. And again, Todd, I couldn't be more grateful for whoever reported it, so we were able to look into it. And I'm glad, most importantly, that no one was hurt and there was no credible threat. But nonetheless, every time we receive something like that, we have to look into it and take it quite seriously.
Absolutely. And we should emphasize as well that this isn't just for parents of school children. It's for anybody in the community that perceives there's something to be a threat, and then they can report that with Safe to Say Something. Dr. Minnick making the point in his communication over the weekend of how quickly everybody coalesced around this subject and really investigated it fully and took the appropriate action, and that's the way the system's supposed to work.
Absolutely. Again, a lot of the credit goes to the administration at the junior high as well as the borough police for working with us and doing a great job to ascertain whether or not the threat was credible. I'm glad it was not credible, but nonetheless, we had to follow the process. We have a system in place, and this shows that the system works.
All right. Something else that came up over the weekend was the State Department of Education on Friday issued a clarification of the mask mandate in responding to questions that they were getting, I'm sure, from all kinds of different sources, and many of those sources being school districts saying, could you put something out that is going to definitively say what this mask mandate is all about and what rules must be followed? And you then posted over the weekend your reaction to it, and I like the phrase you use, it removes all ambiguity about the mask mandate.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. I think this, as the superintendent of the Indiana Area School District and as a board of directors, we take great pride in trying to be good listeners to our public and to our community. And it's no surprise, it's no secret that there's differing views on this subject. So we thought we owed it to our community to see clarity. We wanted to make sure what the rules were and make sure we followed the rules because we want to look at everything in totality and present the truth. We think both the duty and burden of leadership sometimes is to tell the truth, even when it's unpopular. So what we wanted to do was really listen to people who had voiced some concerns and find out whether or not, parent exemptions were welcomed or not, were accepted or not, and we wanted to really let families know that up front because the last thing we want to do is add further frustration to people's feelings on the matter and subject. So we wanted to reach out, we wanted to get clarity, and we thought it was important and timely to communicate with them because, again, we take pride in our communication. We want families to know the challenges and the climate that we're facing as well so they understand that where this decision is coming from, and it can remove the district from that decision-making and allow us to inform people with the truth and what we're forced to deal with in the climate in which we're working in.
So it has been a week since the mask mandate took effect. How has it gone?
Well, I think it's gone incredibly well. First and foremost, I owe a big thank you, Todd. If you can do anything to help reinforce that, we owe a big thank you to our families. Despite people's differing views on masking, we know we have about 97 to 98% of our families complying with the mandate that was issued upon us. And we're really appreciative of that because, as you know, Todd, we had a plan. Our plan was to make masking optional based on a metric system that we had in place when the governor's mandate came down. That changed things, and we had to comply with the mandate and the health order that was issued. And, again, regardless of people's views on masking, what I'm so thankful for is that we allow the parents who are working with us to keep our schools open so that kids can get in-person learning. And that's what I'm really, really most grateful for, because, again, a community pulls together when you need them to, and our community is doing exactly that. Looking at, the district of almost 3,000 students, to have a 97, 98% compliance rate is pretty important, despite their own differing views, because I think everyone values in-person instruction, and everyone realizes the opportunities that our teachers can bring to these kids, and we're all trying to work together, and we're going to get through this together. And it may be mucky and dirty at times and frustrating at times, but again, we're going to do everything we can to make sure in-person learning is here for our students.
You made the point several times over the summer in our conversations that just as was the case last year, you're going to have to be adaptable. Every school district is going to have to be adaptable and ready to, on a moment's notice, turn on a dime and go in a new direction. And that's what happened with this, is it not?
It's exactly what happened. When it first came out, there was some ambiguity. People were wondering, hey, can parent exempts work? Can parent exempts not work? What about other different type of exemptions? And I think my job is not to judge anyone, but tell people the truth and tell people what the rules in which we have to abide by and work by, and allow them then to work with their local healthcare provider to see what's acceptable. But it's changing drastically. Last time we talked, we had a plan in place, and we were ready to go. And then since then, I've had over 130 kids quarantined in 11 cases, and now we have a health mandate that we have to follow. And it's not to me to say what's right or wrong, or give my own personal views. It's just we're in a situation where, a mandate was issued to us. We sought clarity on behalf of our community because we think people need to know the truth and need to know what the expectations are so we can all be on the same page, because the last thing we want to do, Todd, is for people to assume that we're not being transparent or not taking their concerns and questions seriously.
We have watched the numbers at our area school districts as they have gone up and down over the course of the start of this school year. Are you surprised by the number of cases in your district? I would assume that you're not, because it's the largest district in the county, and you've got a number of buildings that you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think this is a struggle everyone's facing right now. I think what we always need more help to do is with working with the Department of Health to see what else can be done to help mitigate quarantines. Todd, the last thing I want to do is see any child leave or staff member get sick. But the quarantines are tough for a lot of kids, and we have to continuously work together to make sure that we can keep kids in school learning. Again, within the first week and a half of school, we had 130 kids quarantined. I was surprised by that. I didn't see that coming because, the last 3 months of school last year, we had maybe 200 kids quarantined. So we were on a high, quick pace there. That caught me somewhat by surprise. But right now, I'm glad to say those quarantines are going down as the cases are coming in. We're not quarantining as many as kids, so that's a step in the right direction because, again, we want them here for in-person learning.
I'm looking at the dashboard right now showing 5 cases at the senior high currently, 4 at the junior high / Eisenhower Elementary, 1 each at Ben Franklin and at East Pike. I know it's always concerning anytime one student is affected or one staff member, but those numbers being what they are, you have to keep this rolling count, and it is a daily call for vigilance, I guess, on the part of the school district to make sure that you're doing everything safely and as absolutely securely as possible.
Well, and not only that, we want to let people know what our challenges that we're facing are and how many cases we have. I think the one thing our families deserve and should expect from us is for us always to tell the truth and for us to always make sure they're aware of the most recent data. So the dashboard is not intended to scare anyone, to upset anyone, but it is intended to tell a story saying, here's where we're at. And they can look at that and see it in real time. Because the last thing I want to do is be faced with the question about, well, how many cases do you have? Why didn't you tell us? So we think it's important that people have a place to go look and see where we're currently at so they can make their own informed choices, whether it's masking or not masking. We just want them to be aware, and we think that's our responsibility. We're not going to make inferences on the data. That's up for individual families to do, but we think we have a responsibility to provide them with the data.
One other thing I wanted to ask you about, and that was completely off of these 2 topics that we've covered so far, and that is the poll that was conducted by the school district earlier this month, and the results, I'm sure, are in the process of being tabulated, having to do with the elementary school configuration. Is that process moving along?
It is. It's moving along. When the mask mandate came down, it got me a little bit off of track a little bit, but we're looking at, I think, September 30th to have another discussion here about the findings of the polls and to look at the input that we are providing. So we're moving along. Right now, I don't know if the company has disaggregated that data or not, but it is moving along, and I think by the end of the month we'll have another conversation to see really where we're at and what our options look like.
All right. He is Superintendent Michael Vuckovich. I know it's not easy to carve out time on a busy Monday morning, but I appreciate the fact that you did this for us. We really do appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks for having me, Todd. I appreciate the opportunity.
Have a great day.
You too, my friend.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.